Headed over to talk to President of the Wyoming State Senate, Bo Beitman, to talk about what they've done to make sure the people who aren't supposed to vote are not voting. Hi, Bo.
Good morning, Fawn. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Getting some more snow out here. How are things in your neck of the woods?
Well, a friend of mine, Angie, lives in Wyoming, and I asked her if she forgot to turn the page on the calendar, so it knew it wasn't supposed to snow anywhere. But you guys got buried. Dang.
Yeah, it keeps coming.
Yeah. Well, we're in Tornado Alley, so
oh, that's right. Yeah.
We're doing storms and twisters and rain and wind again today, so we'll be dodging the ugly stuff just in a different way.
Okay.
So you guys have gone ahead and just made it official. If you're not a citizen, you are not voting.
Yeah, pretty simple, isn't it? Kind of common sense. Who knew that in 2025 we'd be having to have this discussion, but. We made it official here this session. We had our general session ended in March, and we passed a law that basically codifies what our Wyoming Constitution says. In order to be a qualified elector in the state of Wyoming, you must be a U.S. citizen. Well, there was a loophole there where you didn't really have to show any proof of citizenship when you went to register to vote. So this puts it in the statute that to register to vote, you have to show up with one of 9 forms of identification that would identify you as a U.S. citizen.
And so 9 forms is a lot. So, I mean, do you have to show all 9 or just one?
Oh, no, just one of the 9. Okay. And most people have a Wyoming-issued ID, which is Real ID compliant, which means in order to get that ID, you would have had to shown U.S. citizenship. A passport works, a birth certificate works, on a military draft record or selective service registration acknowledgement card, tribal ID cards. You name it. We've got it on the list. It's just it's not all doom and gloom like some of the naysayers may say. It's pretty easy to get those types of IDs and just bring it with you when you want to register to vote in Wyoming.
Well, and you said Real ID. Now, I refuse to get one. I'll get my passport and do it that way. But I know a lot of illegals who are here on asylum who do have state-issued IDs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we also had to pass another law this session to deal with that issue. That's a great point. We passed a law stating that IDs issued from states such as California that does this, that does not prove your citizenship are not valid forms of ID in the state of Wyoming. So a state issued, if you're an illegal with a driver's license from, say, California, that would not qualify as proper ID under this law in Wyoming.
Okay, so you'd have to have the Real ID in order to use that.
If your driver's license is a Real ID, that would suffice under our law. But a passport is even better, birth certificate, things like that. But
yeah. I mean, some people don't want you to have to show anything.
Right.
We get a voter ID card from our county clerk, and that's not even enough. We have to show our driver's license to go along with it. They want to see a picture of you to prove that that's your voter ID card.
Yeah. Voter ID is about as basic of a election integrity measure as you can get. I think it's wildly popular amongst just about everybody. I mean, you really got to go out to the fringes to find people that don't want anybody to show any ID to vote. I mean, it's kind of one of those issues. It's pretty broad support. It's common sense to me out west. I think it's just everybody sees it as a no-brainer. I don't see why we haven't done this stuff earlier. Unless you go a little
too far west, then there are just no brains. That's why we call it the least coast.
That's right.
And the left coast. But we've got people who want to fight against us all the time, and I've spoken to people who are either on the reservation or who are from a minority who say, we're kind of offended that you think we can't get an ID to vote. I don't understand why they're making it into a racial issue. That's silly.
It is silly, and it's insulting people's intelligence. It's borderline racist. When we passed voter ID a couple of years ago, just very straight up voter ID. It wasn't a citizenship requirement.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the same arguments from the far left,
Wow.
and people were rightly offended by it. And our tribal members were offended by it. You basically say, so we're too stupid to be able to figure out how to get an ID. I mean, really, that's what it is, and it's offensive. And most people reject that argument.
I love hearing the word tribal leaders. I'm originally from North Dakota. Half the kids I grew up were Indian, as we called them then, or Native American, as we call them now. But I love hearing that word. You don't hear it much down here. All right.
Yeah.
So, did your governor's Mark Gordon, right?
Yes.
Yeah. How does he feel about this? Did he just say, "Give me it, I'm signing it"?
No, the bill passed without his signature. He let it go into law without signing it. He, in his message to me and the Speaker of the House, he stated he had some concerns about also in this bill is a 30-day residency requirement. The idea being you need to live in the district you're voting in, correct? And so this is a 30-day residency requirement. Our Constitution, our state Constitution, has a one-year residency requirement, but it also says you have to be 21 or older to vote. So when our Constitution got ratified way back in the 1800s, that's what the Constitution said. Well, obviously the U.S. Constitution has been amended to allow 18-year-olds to vote, so that wipes that out. And then a federal court struck down long-term residency requirements of a year. So we've researched what the courts have allowed, and 30-day residency requirements are allowed right now. So that's why we landed on the 30-day. But he had an issue with that.
I think that's pretty normal, though. It's pretty standard.
Yeah, it's standard, and again, it's common sense.
Okay.
Honestly, that's what people want. They want to make sure you actually live in the district you're attempting to vote in.
Well,
and it also prevents folks from coming up from Colorado. You know, we do share a southern border and with Colorado, and it's you can have some shenanigans there.
Mm-hmm. Colorado. Don't get me started. All right. So none of this sounds obscure or even odd to me. So the fact that the governor wouldn't sign it, I don't understand how laws go into effect without a signature.
Yeah, that's a quirk with Wyoming. He can either sign it, veto it, or just let it go into law without his signature. Those are kind of the three options he has here. But he uses that quite often. Yeah, he used it with some of our pro-life bills. We passed a chemical abortion ban a couple years ago. We've passed some pro-Second Amendment laws that he has let go into law without his signature. He uses it quite often.
He sounds like a weenie. He
well,
doesn't want to sign anything. I mean, what are you in the get the fox out of the chicken coop here then? If you don't want to stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. I mean, come on, man.
That's right.
Sign something.
That's right. I would definitely sign bills like this if I were governor.
I would literally not vote for that guy. Literally, just because he won't sign anything. I mean, you have to. You were elected to lead the state, and you're just going to say, I'm just going to go to the basement. No thanks.
Yeah, and especially a lot of these bills pass with huge, overwhelming majorities, more than 2/3. And so just sign the dang thing and respect the process. Yeah.
Respect the people of Wyoming. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
I
Anyway,
agree.
You've been serving for a while, right?
Yes, I got elected to the legislature in 2016.
Okay. So you've been there, well, I can't do
8
math.
years.
So 8 or 9 years, yeah?
Yep.
Is Wyoming becoming more progressive, or I hate that they stole that word because it does, what they're doing is not progress, but are they leaning more left? Are you seeing more people who move out of California relocate there? Are you seeing any of that?
We're seeing the migration from California, but what I'm seeing in my district, especially in northern Wyoming, is these are people that are conservatives that are fleeing blue states to come to a free state like Wyoming. So we're seeing hardcore conservatives that are happy to be here and want to be here and want to be part of the culture here. So Wyoming went for President Trump again in the most margins. I think it was 79% he got 79% of the vote out here. So we're not moving to the center. We're not moving left. We're still blood red state out here.
All right. So my sister-in-law used to live in Cheyenne, and I'm trying to look where Angie lives, but I have quite a few friends who live there. And I've been to Wyoming many times. It's a beautiful state, but y'all get too much snow, man. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, it's supposed to be almost summer, and you're buried.
Yeah, it's about 8 months of winter, and then we have about a week of spring and a week of fall, and then it's hotter than Hades in the summertime. So it's not for everybody. That's probably why we have only 580-some thousand people that live here over a very vast land area. But those of us that are here, we love it.
You've got a lot of people in the mountains you don't know about, too, so you might want to factor that. Just saying. They're up there. They're just not telling you. They're off the grid. That's what they're doing. So funny because I actually know it to be true. All right, so you serve on the Minerals Business Economic Development Committee, Senate Education Committee, Select Federal Natural Resource Management Committee in Wyoming. What sorts of resources does Wyoming have? Do you have any of the stuff we need for electric cars or any of the stuff they're trying to mandate in the prior administration?
Absolutely. So God has blessed us with an embarrassment of riches here in Wyoming when it comes to oil, natural gas, coal. We have probably the world's, I think the U.S., the largest supply of uranium domestically in the United States, and rare earth minerals that are critical for what we need to do for batteries, for magnets, things of that nature, national defense. So we've got it all here. Unfortunately, the federal government controls 69% of the minerals under the ground in Wyoming. A lot of people don't understand how that works out here. And national parks, we have national forests. But, they control about half of the surface, too. So imagine half of your state being controlled by the federal government when about two-thirds of the mineral wealth being controlled by the feds. It's very difficult to get anything done out here because the pendulum swings so far from the right to the left every 4 years or every 8 years, depending on the presidential election cycle and who's in charge of the federal lands policies. So we're very excited about President Trump and his picks for his cabinet positions, whether it's Doug Burgum or Lee Zeldin, and the BLM nominee, Kathleen Sagama. But we got to get going on those people. We got to get going now, and we got to open up these federal lands because we've got to produce our own uranium and our own rare earth.
And then China can
American
just
oil.
Basically kiss our butts. I mean, we can tariff the crap out of them because we don't need any of their stuff at that point.
Right, and they've really got a stranglehold on the rare earth market right now. So the critical minerals that we need to produce batteries, lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles, all these things, all these strategic minerals that we need, are desperate for, are mined in China.
Yeah.
We've got to start mining again in the United States. We've got to, and we can do it responsibly, and we've done it responsibly. We need to mine more coal. If we're gonna build out AI and these massive data centers, our power grid is already tapped out. And if we're going to add more electric vehicles to the mix, we've got to build more power plants, whether it's nuclear or coal. But we've got the fuel here in Wyoming to power this country.
And what I want people to understand is that if you are so worried about the environment, we can mine this in Wyoming, take out the fact that we don't have to pay taxes on tariffs from or to imports or exports on tariffs to China, do this ourselves, finish what we have to do, and then put everything back the way it was, and then everything moves on just as it were. But in China, they just dig the hole, and they don't care about the environment at all. So
not at all.
If you care about the environment, you should care about it all over the world, not just in the
Correct.
U.S. So they don't give a crap that China and India are polluting the heck out of the world. They just want to scream and yell about ours. So
exactly,
I can't stand that sort of thinking, and I want us to be non-reliant on anybody else for any other thing, and just, you know what, big old Hawaiian salute to China.
Amen, sister. We need to put America first again, and we need to be America again. When this country became a world superpower because we did everything here, we didn't depend on anybody else for our critical minerals and materials. Like back in the Industrial Revolution, we mined our iron ore in Michigan, and we mined copper. We mined everything we needed was mined in the United States, and it created a middle class. It created, great economic growth and we need to do that again, and we can do that again, and we have to do it again. And the irony is, we burn a lot of coal in Wyoming, and we have the bluest skies anywhere in the country, right?
Yes.
We don't have pollution, so it's people come out west to enjoy the blue skies, the fresh air, and we produce a lot of the electricity that gets shipped to California, Nevada, Arizona with our power plants here.
Yeah.
Coal-fired power plants. We have clean coal and we burn it here, and it's not an environmental disaster like you said. In China and India, it's a whole different story over there.
It's like a plume of smog over there. That's why they're still wearing masks. But California doesn't understand when they plug in their electric cars that it's coming from coal. So
it's coming from coal in one good old Wyoming.
They're just not smart.
An electron's an electron, no matter whether it was.
That's how they should. Yeah, the wiring is mixed up. Bo Beitman's president of the Wyoming State Senate. Now you have to prove you're a citizen to vote, and they have all the minerals we need. That's why when I saw your name come up and I knew what the topic was, I wanted to throw in the minerals too, because I know you guys have them, because I used to go around that way a lot, and I know what Wyoming has to offer. You guys are a very huge part of what will be our future success, and I'm glad you came on today, Bo. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaughn. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.